For 10 years. My own mother convinced everyone I was a thief. Not by screaming. Not by accusing me in public. She never had to. She simply looked disappointed whenever something went missing. And little by little, everyone else reached the conclusion for her. Even my grandmother's funeral couldn't stop the lies. By then, half my family wouldn't leave me alone in a room with a jewelry box. Then, 7 months after my grandmother died, a hospice nurse named Lena Mercer walked into my family's attorney's office carrying an old digital recorder. She placed it gently on the conference table, then looked straight at my mother. I promised Eleanor this would stay sealed until after her funeral. Nobody moved. Not my mother. Not my uncle. Not the attorney. Not even me. Lena rested one hand on the recorder. She said, "If my granddaughter ever loses her family because of lies, play this." The room became so quiet. I could hear the old wall clock ticking behind the attorney's desk. None of us knew that 11 ordinary minutes on that recorder were about to destroy a lie that had stolen 10 years of my life. My name is Corinne Ashby. I'm 36 years old. I grew up in Port Townsend, Washington. Not Seattle. Not Tacoma. Port Townsend. A quiet coastal town where people remembered your grandparents before they remembered your first name. Where neighbors borrowed sugar and returned gossip. Everybody knew everybody. Which meant, when one person whispered something, the whole town eventually believed it. Especially if that person was my mother. Lizette Ashby was exactly the kind of woman people trusted without question. She taught children's art classes at the community center, organized charity auctions, volunteered at church fundraisers. Every Thanksgiving, someone thanked her for helping their family. Every Christmas, someone brought her homemade cookies. People called her generous, patient, graceful. I spent most of my childhood wondering why the woman everyone admired became someone completely different the moment our front door closed. The first time she accused me of stealing, I was 12. Grandma Eleanor had misplaced an old silver music box. It wasn't expensive. The silver had faded. The melody barely worked anymore. But it had belonged to her mother. To Grandma. It was priceless. Mom searched the living room, the kitchen, Grandma's bedroom. Then she stopped outside mine. She didn't knock. She opened the door. "Give it back." I looked up from my homework. "What?" "The music box." "I don't have it." She walked straight past me. Opened every drawer. Pulled books off my shelves. Dumped my backpack onto the carpet. Notebooks. Pencils. Homework. Everything landed on the floor. She looked under my bed. Inside my closet. Even inside my laundry basket. Nothing. She didn't apologize. She didn't even look embarrassed. She simply smiled. Like she'd expected this. "You'll get better at hiding things." Then she walked away. 3 days later, Grandma Eleanor found the music box inside her own sewing cabinet. Mom laughed softly. "Oh, Eleanor. I guess we all forget things sometimes." Then she hugged Grandma, picked up the music box, and walked into the kitchen. She never mentioned searching my room. She never apologized. Nobody asked her to. I learned something that week. Finding the missing item didn't erase the accusation. People remembered suspicion far longer than they remembered the truth. That lesson followed me for the next 10 years. 3 years have passed since that day. People still ask about the trial, the recording, my mother. They almost never ask about my grandfather. That's always been the strange part. The world remembers scandals, It rarely remembers the quiet people who stopped them. Last spring, Port Townsend restored the old harbor clock. The same clock Grandpa used to point at whenever it stopped after storms. I stood across the street, watching the clockmaker adjust its hands. For a second, I was 8 years old again. Grandpa rested one hand on my shoulder and smiled. Clocks aren't important because they're perfect. They're important because someone keeps setting them right. Back then, I thought he was talking about time. Now I know. He was talking about people. Life isn't perfect now. It never will be. Some relatives still avoid me. Not because they think I stole anything. Because looking at me reminds them they believed someone who never deserved their trust. Guilt is its own kind of distance. I've learned to let them carry it. It doesn't belong to me anymore. A few months ago, Lena retired from hospice care. Before she moved away, we met one last time for coffee. She laughed when she saw the pocket watch in my bag. "You still carry it?" "Every day." She smiled. "So did your grandfather." We sat quietly for a while. Then I asked the question I'd wondered about for years. "Why did you keep your promise? You barely knew us." Lena looked out the window. "I knew enough." "What do you mean?" "I've cared for hundreds of people during their final days." She stirred her coffee slowly. "The ones who lie usually ask for forgiveness. The ones who tell the truth usually ask for courage. Eleanor never asked me to save her. She asked me to protect someone else. That told me everything." When we stood to leave, she hugged me. "I think Harold would be proud of you." I smiled. "I hope so." "No," she corrected gently. "I know so." That was the last time I saw her. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about my mother. Not the woman from the courtroom. Not the woman everyone admired. The woman who tucked my drawings into a box and kept them for years. The woman who somehow convinced herself that destroying her own daughter was protecting her family. People often ask whether evil is born or made. I don't know. I only know that small lies, left unchecked, have a way of becoming entire lives. If there's one thing these 10 years taught me, it's this. Truth rarely wins because it's louder. It wins because it never changes. Lies have to keep inventing themselves. Truth only has to wait. Grandpa once repaired broken clocks. I think I finally understand why he loved them so much. No matter how badly a clock is damaged, its purpose never changes. It was made to tell the truth about time. People aren't very different. Others can damage your reputation, your confidence, even your family. But they can't decide who you are. Only you can do that. Sometimes I visit Grandpa's grave with fresh white lilies. Sometimes I don't bring flowers at all. I simply sit there, wind the old pocket watch once, and listen. Not because I expect to hear his voice, but because the steady ticking reminds me of something I spent 10 years trying to prove. Character doesn't disappear just because people stop believing in it. If you've ever been judged before anyone asked for your side, if you've ever watched a lie spread faster than the truth, I hope you remember my grandfather's words. Broken things leave patterns. So do honest people. Eventually, someone notices the difference. And when they do, the truth doesn't need revenge. It only needs to be heard. A few weeks ago, I unlocked the wooden box one last time. Inside were only 4 things. Grandpa's pocket watch, his final letter, the juror's note, and the old digital recorder. I picked up the recorder, turned it over in my hands. The batteries had died long ago. It would never play again. It didn't need to. Its job was finished. For years, I believed that little recorder had changed my life. Now I know. It didn't. It simply revealed the life I'd been living all along. Truth doesn't create innocence. It uncovers it. Sometimes people ask me what happened to my mother. The answer disappoints them. There was no dramatic confession. No movie-style breakdown. No final argument between us. The court reached its decision. She accepted the consequences. And our lives quietly separated. Some endings aren't loud. Some are simply final. As for me, I stopped introducing myself with explanations. I no longer tell people about accusations, or courtrooms, or recordings. I simply say, my name is Corinne Ashby. And for the first time in a very long time, that's enough. Because my identity no longer begins with what someone else said about me. It begins with the person I chose to become. Sometimes justice looks dramatic. A courtroom. A verdict. Headlines. But sometimes, justice is much quieter. It's waking up without needing to defend yourself. It's answering the phone without wondering who's heard another rumor. It's walking into a family gathering without feeling everyone's eyes following you. It's hearing your own name. And no longer waiting for someone to laugh afterward. That was the greatest victory. Not the trial. Peace. Grandpa used to tell me something whenever we finished repairing an old clock. He'd wipe the dust from his hands, smile, and say, time never repairs people. People repair themselves. I didn't understand him then. I do now. Time didn't heal me. The truth opened the door. Forgiveness let me walk through it. And choosing not to become bitter finished the journey. So if you're listening today, and someone has spent years convincing the world you're someone you're not, don't measure yourself by the volume of their lies. Measure yourself by the consistency of your character. Because lies borrow attention. Truth earns trust. And trust lasts much longer. Thank you for spending these moments with me. If this story reminded you that integrity is worth protecting, or if you've ever watched someone judged before anyone asked for their side, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy stories about family secrets, hidden truths, and the quiet courage it takes to survive them. Until next time, take care of the people who believe in you. And if you're lucky enough to be that person for someone else, never stop listening before the truth has its chance to speak.